From there, they are going to go to Mombasa. From Mombasa, they'll go to Embu, Embu to Meru. First, they deal with Central Kenya. So that is already the conversation. And what the good Reverend asked, the youth, the drugs and a lot of delinquency that you find in the school are linked. That is what has already been established. So what we have said, a lot of people are going to lose business. And in any case, a business that destroys a generation is a criminal enterprise. It doesn't matter what money you make out of it. So the government is going to go heavy on that. The issue of youth is at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, but education now is domiciled elsewhere. What we have said is a concern to all of us and parents. Because right now, a lot of parents are very careful to send their children to affluent schools. Because what is destroying us is money. Where children of affluent families are given a lot of money, and they come and corrupt the others. This thing is having a spiraling effect. And I think there is already a conversation in the Ministry of Education that some of the schools, they have been told if they don't put their acts together, some of the schools should be closed. And then the media guys. The problem with what we are experiencing, our youngsters are not listening to us. They are in the sitting room, but they are talking to some dark forces out there. Because parents want to make their children happy. You buy them a smartphone. Then you give them money for bundles. Of course, they are going to go to on the international superhighway. Children as young as 7, 8, they're able to access porn because their bundles is enough to access those sites. So this is something that requires the church, the imams in the mosque, and the communities and the families. Myself and I think Honorable Fred and Honorable Mburu, we sit on the Committee of National Security, where NACADA comes under our watch. And one of the things that we have discovered, and they are able to explain to us in detail, blow by blow, the weakening of the family structure is what is creating all this problem. And I think what the church should not fear to tell their congregation is the importance of the family. Because if the family is not strong, you cannot make nations strong. Because the family is the smallest building block in any society. So that one I will leave it at that, but there's already a conversation on the issue of youth and on that issue of illicit brew and drugs and all that combined. So already, what I have already said, what the Deputy President has been given that mandate to call leaders of region the government machinery to be able to clamp down on that, so that there are those who have bars and they are maybe leaders. If your bar is closed, then you shouldn't blame anyone. If there's a chief in his area, that is where most of that brewing or that alcohol is consumed, is sacked, then nobody should raise a finger. So it's going to be a very big issue in Kenya going forward. It started last Friday. Thank you, Moses Mwangi. I think, Moses, where are you? You are gone? Oh yeah, Moses, you are there. I think that is really what is happening now, particularly in the area of Kenya Meat Commission, because as you are already aware, Kenya Meat Commission is under the military. There was a move to take it from the military, but it has been proved that Kenya Meat Commission became a moribund institution almost 20, 30 years ago. But after the military was given, they kicked some life into it. The government invested in it. That in 72 hours, when you take your livestock for slaughter to KMC, you are paid. And before you are paid after 1 year, or your money just goes down the drain. So it's a positive thing. The other issue is about Kenya prisons. I think it's something that we can suggest to the general who is in charge, that they can try to be on Amazon so that they can sell their products globally. Then Tony, I think what Tony raised, and Gary Wainaina, you basically raised the same issue about the place of media, the place of communication. What we saw in the recent days, I think a year or 2 years, the story of Kenya is told in the social media, as opposed to government spokesman coming forward and giving the story that this is what is happening, it is true, this has not happened, that so and so has done this, the government is acting on this issue. I think that is a serious missing link, where the government is trying to put its acts together. The other issue is on talent, which is largely domiciled in the Ministry of Youth as opposed to education, and also under the presidency. The issue of budget is important, and you know, nobody will sit around and tell you, how much money do you need? It doesn't happen. You must ask for the money. As youth, as media, you say, hey, you guys, we have this and that. Once the proposal comes to Parliament that actually gives the money, people will debate and say, is this real? If we put the money here, how many people, or what is it likely to support? That comprehensive engagement is what can allow that to happen. Just for information, we used to think that the Moi regime was the weakest. But you know, a lot of thriving in the Kenyan sports was during Moi's time. The athletes, the boxing, yeah, many sports thrived a lot. Because I think the government of that time had people who had interest in those things. But I think under Kibaki, the economy grew, many things went well for us, but we also left some of those areas. So with that, I think these are some of the issues we can recommend in our report. Then NGOs, I think the lady who talked about NGOs, the NGO board comes under a committee of national security. Because whereas NGOs are non-governmental, but a lot of things they do is interlaced with what the government of the day does in terms of its function. Some of the issues are controlled, some of the issues are controversial, but what is important, and that I must say, the NGOs are part and parcel of every administration because they do what the government is not able to do, or they reach corners that the government is not able to reach. But I think it is important that if anyone has an intention of opening an NGO or doing things through NGO, then they must use the right channel, which is the NGO board. The NGO board comes under our committee,